So today we're going to talk about the power of opportunities and how it's changed my life. The year is 2012 and I'm sitting in my classroom, semester 1 of college, one of the most prestigious colleges in South India called the Loyola College. The bell rings 4:30 sharp and I'm waiting for the professor not to come so I can sneak out and rush out of the college to catch the next share auto, take it to the nearest mall where I have to start my shift at McDonald's. I rush into the back, put a cap on, which they had given me, put my shirt on, and start flipping burgers. It had been 3 weeks since I started part-time working in McDonald's. And from starting off on the first week, understanding how mopping is done in more than 200 countries at McDonald's in an H shape, to cleaning utensils at the backside of the kitchen, and then to actually making burgers that I love eating so much. Only difference, this side, I was on the other side of the kitchen. All of this was so happening because I was in a new city, I was living all by myself. This part-time job, along with college, was a wholesome experience. Until one day, on a Sunday, after the rush hours got over, and I saw some familiar faces walk through the door, and in an instant I ran and hid in the freezer. These were people that were close to my family. Cut to 2 years back, I'm in the freezer and I'm thinking about this situation at school when I'm standing inside the principal's office. My mom and dad are there, my mom is crying, and we are literally begging them to pass me to 12th grade. Why? Because Narayanan was a vice head boy of 11th grade and he couldn't clear physics, chemistry, computer science, and maths. 4 out of the 5 subjects that I had taken up in 11th grade. And this didn't happen for one unit test. It happened for the first, second, and even the final exam, so much so that even the aggregate wasn't 40%. So we had to eventually go inside the principal's office to convince her that I've had a really nice academic career and please give me another chance to get inside 12th. Eventually that happened. But I was stripped off of my student council role. I was stripped off of any extracurricular activities. I was stripped off of participating in theatre that I love so much. I was stripped off of even participating in debate competition. I was taken off of every single joy that a student feels staying at school just because I couldn't clear 40% in 11th grade. And that same fear or shame that I felt in the principal's office in 2011, when in 2012, I was in that freezer in McDonald's, I felt the same shame that what if my parents get to know that their kid, who's in one of the most prestigious colleges in India, is doing a part-time at McDonald's. What happened? I quit. I didn't go back the next day. And thus started a mundane routine of attending classes again. 2 weeks into classes, 5 hours of college, I somehow got through. One fine day again, there's a public announcement which said, there's an organization that's hosting a social event where young kids are participating in an arts competition, and we are calling for volunteers. And I was done with classroom education. Because the only thing that I experienced was someone coming and reciting something in physics, and not even that. I had enrolled for majors in applied physics, and I was learning religion. I was learning French and personality development. Look at me, personality development? I don't think so, right? And the moment this public announcement happened, I thought, this is another chance. Let's grab hold of it and get out of the classroom as fast as I can. I gave up my name. I went and volunteered for this organization, and little did I know that 10 years from that day, like that decision that I made, would be such a life-changing experience. I joined this organization called AIESEC, the world's largest youth-run organization, which believes in training young people leadership. The very first moment when I realized that I'm learning something in the first semester of college was not when my professors were teaching me, but when I was with the AIESEC group. I learned how to write my first email. I learned how to dress up. I learned how to pronounce some words. I learned how to manage myself in front of a crowd. Because all of that was stripped off of me in my school. I was so determined to learn everything. And month over month, after spending 1 year in AIESEC, I jumped on to becoming the Vice President of Business Development. It gave me an opportunity to lead young people to conducting events in the city of Chennai. We conducted one of the largest marathons there in Chennai. And a year after that, I applied to be part of the national team, and I got to go to Mumbai. Until I joined AIESEC, there were only 2 states that I had visited, Delhi and Tamil Nadu. But AIESEC gave me an opportunity to visit more than 15 more states just in 5 years of being in AIESEC. Not just that, I also applied for an opportunity to go to Nepal and be the country director of this organization. Guess what? I was going to a new country, living all by myself, with a little stipend of $100 a month. And all of this comes to a very, very small bit in my life, right? I got to meet these amazing people from all across the world while staying in Chennai, people from Portugal, people from UK, that otherwise I wouldn't have got a chance because why? I was a failure in school, right? I got to meet amazing people, did a lot of adventurous things in Nepal, and then I got done with AIESEC, and then came a point in my life where I had to decide, do I have to do AIESEC a little more, or do I start off something? But I hadn't done college yet. I hadn't finished college yet, right? So there came a point in my life that I thought, let's find out if AIESEC actually taught me something. And I sat for the interview at the shop in Hyderabad during placements. And I cracked the interview rounds and I was the top 5 shortlist. And I realized that AIESEC had actually taught me something. And that very moment I decided that the classroom learning that I was destined to do was actually in my hands. And I break free from that learning that didn't serve purpose to me. Finished 3 years of learning, but dropped out of college. Come the year 2018, I jumped out of college, spent 3 more years in AIESEC, met people from over 80 countries, and traveled 18 plus countries in less than 3 years, 3 continents. And I joined a company, and they gave me a 12 lakhs per annum package. For a lower middle class family, that's a bingo jackpot, right? And for me, without a degree, that's a gold mine, guys. Yeah? That's a gold mine. I joined this startup in Mumbai as a chief marketing officer, spent 3 months there, joined the mundane routine of a startup as well as the corporate world, to say so. And then came a call from an old friend of mine from AIESEC, and he said, I want to transform the way education happens. I want to enter the entrepreneurial journey to see how India can be taught. Because India has such huge youth population, but when they graduate out of college, they don't graduate with the right kind of professional skills sometimes. And because I had faced it, and he had faced it, he thought he could start. I went back home that night, and I thought, I'm getting a 1 lakh a month salary. Do I really have to give this away and do something that I don't know the future of? When there are so many esteemed institutions across the country, so many startups in the edtech field. There were 5,000 educational startups alone in 2018. Today the number has gone 3x. Right? I went back home and I gave it a little thought, and I realized that if I don't do something about the things that affected me, I'll be the part of the bad things that has happened to me. Right? If I don't do something about anything that bad that I see, then I'm part of that crime as well. And I realized that I can jump into the education sector somehow and transform the way students of the future learn. And thus, we started the journey of Unschool in 2018. Humble beginnings in a bedroom first. Rahul, my co-founder, was on the right side with the red shirt. We didn't know how to start because we were just out of college, right? But we somehow summoned courage and gathered all the experience that we had and picked up a few interns from around the country and invited them to come over to Hyderabad to start selling the initial courses that we had set up. And then one day, something very weird happened. Someone reached out to our LinkedIn inbox and said, Unschool has been shortlisted for the top list of startups in India. And I was like, dude, that sounds so fake, right? Because, like, where do you want to wire my money to you? Because all of these things come with a money part, right? But we eventually filled out the form, and 2 months later, in 2020, September, this happened. We got out of the list with some of the biggest startups, and we were ranked number 3 in 14 months of starting Unschool. Don't want to brag, but I'm carrying this support. Yeah. And not just that, even a month later than that, if you guys are into entrepreneurship, we also got selected in the winter cohort of 21 batch of Y Combinator, which is one of the largest accelerator programs run out of US. We got the seed funding from there, and we grew the team from 20 to 45, moved from a 4,000 square feet office from center of the city to the outskirts of the IT park in Kachipoli to a 10,000 square feet office today. And over the last 3 years almost, in about a month we'll be 3 years old, we've trained over 150,000 students across the country. That's 1.5 lakh students across the country. We have given job opportunities to more than 500 students in more than 150 colleges across the country. We've trained more than 25,000 interns from more than 2,000 colleges in the country in just less than 3 years. And all of this that I've shared with you comes back to 3 things that I want to share with you today. In the McDonald's journey, I was a very scared little child. I always wanted to do things that would help me fit in the crowd. I wanted to be the ideal child in the family. I wanted to make good of the things that I did. But in the process of being feared, I wish Will Smith had come to me and said, life's most beautiful things are on the other side of fear, and I had not gotten into that freezer that time. But the one thing that I learned from that incident is the first circle that I want you to take back. Ownership. If you make a choice, own it. Own it till your deathbed, because it's going to give you something really, really good in the future. The second one was when my AIESEC journey and my college dropout scene was happening. At that moment, I realized that the choices that I make, they will have consequences. And while you face these consequences, if you're not optimistic, it will not get you anywhere. I took the chance of dropping out because I knew I could do good and I could face every single consequence that would come. If I speak for 5 more minutes, I might convince you to drop out, but I don't want to do that. Because life's beautiful even with a degree. People told me, I don't know. The third bit is, when we started Unschool, I wouldn't have started Unschool if I wasn't original to who I was. I knew the problems that I faced and I wanted to fix those problems and not the problems of the society. I still, while building Unschool, traveled on a purple scooty Pep Plus until last year. Because that's true to me. So in the process of life, you might have problems while cracking exams. You might not get placement in the right job. Your professor might be angry at you. You might not get the score that you wanted. You might land in a job that pays only 3 lakhs and your friend landed in a job that gives you 7 lakhs. Your parents might ask you to get married when you're 25. But in all of this, the kind of choices that you make, owning them, facing the consequences with optimism, and trying to be original, all of this will help you succeed in life. And I want you to do a very quick activity as a closing thought. I was able to do all of this because of a very simple theory that I want to share with you in the last few minutes of the time that I have. There's something called the donut theory. Life throws a donut at you every single day. It can come in different shapes and sizes, different fillings, some without fillings. You might not like eating that donut. You might not even like sweets in the first place. But the moment you grab one donut, what life does is gives you another one. The moment you eat the second one, it gives you the third one. And that's what my life journey has been. The moment I knew there was adversity, I grabbed that and I made good out of it. And that's when good things came to me thereafter. So imagine that you in your life are being offered with various things. If you don't try it out, you'll never know if you don't like it or not. I sat in classroom for 3 years, realized that was not the donut I wanted to eat, and thereafter I moved out. So closing thoughts for all of you here today and everybody who's listening is that if you want to live the kind of life that you dream of, you have to make sure that you are very optimistic with the consequences, you're original to your thoughts, and you make sure that all these 3 years when they come together is when good opportunities come to you. Yeah, and that's all. Thank you so much.